you and the thing. And of course I wasn't recording up until right now. Jesus Christ, man. Oh well, I didn't get too far into it, so we're not too bad off yet. But yeah, Blockstream, they've been an interesting force in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies too. But this SegWit thing, if you look right now, they're still not at over 40%. And they still do this thing where they talk shit about other vendors that use Bitcoin for payments but don't use SegWit. And I find it kind of offensive because it is quote-unquote optional. So quit trying to guilt me into using this shit. If I don't fucking like it, fuck you. Go on to somebody else. Tell them about it. But quit talking shit about me for not wanting to use it. But it's like a regular practice, I guess I want to say it's blockchain.info or blockchain.com or something like that. They still don't support SegWit. Personally, I think that's their choice. It's an optional it's an optional thing. It's their choice whether or not they want to use it. If they don't want to support it, their customers don't have to be with them. If their customers want SegWit, they are free to use a wallet that supports SegWit. But if they're still choosing Bitcoin blockchain, and they're doing so even with the knowledge that they don't support SegWit, you gotta take that as an indicator from the market, where the market is saying, I want to stick with a legacy address format. I don't want to go over to SegWit. I don't want to do SegWit transactions. If that's what they're saying, then you got to listen to them. Now, the other thing that bugs me about all this is forking. I believe that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, one thing that makes them what they are is your ability to fork them. If you can't fork it, I don't believe it's Bitcoin. Because it's not a product of you. It's not a product of the network at large. It's a product of some individual or some group of individuals that are collaborating to maintain a status quo or a system that isn't necessarily beneficial for everybody. So yeah, I don't know. I think that, again, Bitcoin mining, it's going to be a different game within, I would say, the next 2 to 5 years. That the idea of people running huge data centers and filling them up with miners, and I think that's going to represent much less of the mining sphere by then. I would say within the next 2 to 5 years. It'll just become unprofitable to do. But yeah, the thing that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies were invented for is to substitute for fiat currencies in the event of a financial collapse, global in nature. And for the most part, cryptocurrencies work exactly as that. There have been some bumps here and there, but if you and I would like to do business with one another, there realistically is not any force on earth that can stop us. The reason why we still have these hiccups, where we have entities that have a disproportionate amount of the network under their control or whatever, is simply because we're not in a situation where the fiat market is completely collapsing. See, I believe that intrinsically cryptocurrencies are relatively easy to use. And they really are. People talk about them being complicated and whatever. They're only complicated if you're doing shit like off-chain transactions, and then it starts getting exciting. Or if you're doing like smart contracts or something like that, then it gets there's a teeny tiny bit of a learning curve involved there. But as far as setting up a miner on your hardware, I've done it. It's not all that difficult. associating that miner with a mining pool or even mono mining. These are not difficult things to do. I mean, certainly a great deal less difficult than driving a vehicle. You know, when you consider it in terms of capability of the average person can set up a computer to mine with it. And I think that because the technical demand on that is so low, I mean, if you want to be able to tweak it and whatever to maximize your efficiency, yes, you're going to have to spend a little bit of time, read some man pages, whatever. But you know, the learning curve for doing so is a lot lower than it is for a lot of other things that you can be doing. But due to the energy consumption or something like that, I think that in the future it'll just become unprofitable to be running a huge mining center. Maybe it'll be some legal issue, you know, where it falls outside of a ecological regulation or something like that to be having a huge mining facility. The noise is too much, or so on and so forth. But I think that, again, mining was meant to be done by the average person, at least until there's hardly any block reward, and then entities will be wanting to get by on transaction fees. And you're just not going to be able to fit enough transactions into a block to make that profitable for enough people. In the longer term, that is. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. Feeling just a little bit slowed down. I got to make a couple of adjustments. And, see, I wanted to play some Contortionist. And so here it is. One of my favorite songs, Causality, here on Coin Metal. And that was Gizmochi with The Answer. Alright. And of course, Twitter feed should have some guy fishing, doing my favorite activity. Looks like he's using some broke-ass tackle too. Terrible. Always spend a decent amount of money on your hardware when you're going fishing, both for your enjoyment and the pleasure of it. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some articles. And so I've been skulking around here, and Kyle had authored another article that was referenced to in the previous one, and I think this one is worth exploring, even though I don't really like Lightning Network and don't really think that it's going to be the long-term solution for Bitcoin, but that's just my feeling. Anyway, continuing on, this is on Forbes, and it was authored August 6, 2019 at 9:56 p.m. Again, no time zone. Shame on you, Kyle. Yes, penis. Bitcoin's use in online payments faces a serious regulatory hurdle. No, it doesn't. Over the past few years, the use for Bitcoin payments has taken a backseat to the increased focus on the digital assets used as a store of value. However, the payments use case is now making a comeback thanks to the development of the Lightning Network, which is a secondary protocol layer that enables cheaper instant transfers for Bitcoin users. Apps like Refill and Fold, which both help people spend their Bitcoin at major retailers, have integrated Lightning Network in an effort to create a more user-friendly and cost-effective experience for their users. Additionally, the relatively new startup Lolly has a master plan for eventually taking Bitcoin payments mainstream. Longhash recently covered the general resurgence of payments-focused Bitcoin startups powered by the Lightning Network. While the Lightning Network is improving the Bitcoin payments experience from a technical perspective, a serious regulatory hurdle remains for the cryptocurrency in terms of how it's used. Or how it's taxed. And one thing, this is, in my opinion, this is kind of a bullshit argument, because the fact of the matter is that Regulators and legislators have been stuffing the words money transmitter into legislation as early as, I want to say, 2015. So the idea that money transmitting being a taxation point, being some sort of like surprise, it's fucking bullshit. Anyway, continuing on. I mean, I've been warning about it for fucking years. Literally years. That the Lightning Network would be used to regulate Bitcoin in a way much like to where basically you'd be a digital serf. You wouldn't be doing any Lightning Network transactions for anybody. You'd just be giving people your Bitcoin and they would be transacting it for you, supposedly. Anyway, continuing on. Bitcoin's tax issue. In the United States and many other countries, Bitcoin payments are treated as taxable events. In other words, Bitcoin users should be tracking the capital gains they accrue when they buy something with the cryptocurrency. From a tax perspective, a Bitcoin payment is treated the same as a sale of one's Bitcoin holdings. Technically, this policy applies to everything from the purchase of a house to buying a coffee in the morning on the way to work. And just one thing right there, I can assure you that very, very few people are treating Bitcoin transactions as taxable events. Continuing on. How serious is this issue? But how serious is this tax issue? After all, part of the cypherpunk philosophy behind Bitcoin is that the rules and regulations of the traditional financial world do not apply to this new digital cash system. It's not just that they do not apply, it's that they really cannot apply to it. Continuing on. The seriousness of the tax problem was debated by Bitrefill CEO Sergej Kotliar and Shapeshift CEO Eric Voorhees during a panel discussion at the Bitcoin 2019 conference in San Francisco. For Voorhees, the tax implications of making Bitcoin payments are too much of a burden for many potential cryptocurrency users. Absolutely. Quote, an average person on the street that wants to buy something for $20 with Bitcoin, they're not going to care if they're not reporting taxes on that. Goddamn right. Those types of people, in terms of spending power, represent a very tiny amount. The actual majority of spending power generally comes from people, by definition, with more money. Those people tend to, by definition, care more about tax consequences, explained Voorhees. And that's another thing. All of those big-ass transactions that you're seeing happening on the Bitcoin network, if they're not associated with an exchange, if those are just private transfers between one person and another, people probably are not treating those as taxable events and are not recording them anywhere. And so and when I say people, I mean rich people, really rich people. Continuing on. The Shapeshift CEO went on to note that the tax burden association with using Bitcoin for everyday payments overshadows the potential benefits of using the peer-to-peer digital cash system. Only if you bother to use it as fucking they prescribe. Continuing. Even if they are totally cool with the volatility, even if they totally understand the technology, even if they're okay with a $5 fee on a $50 transaction, having to spend a while reporting that and tracking that, and the risk of not tracking that correctly actually becomes the real cost, said Voorhees. While Kotliar admitted that Voorhees brought up a fair point, he also added that there are plenty of people who would take their Bitcoin payments as an opportunity to make a political statement of sorts. Quote, if you want to change a certain regulation, it helps doing things that will make an attacking regulator look silly. So, if the government goes after everybody who buys a cup of coffee for $5 with Bitcoin, they're going to look silly, said Kotliar. Kotliar then clarified that he was not saying everyone should go out and use Bitcoin to avoid taxes. Oh, why not? I do. Instead, this is more about making regulators' jobs difficult. No, it isn't. It's about circumventing them. Voorhees responded by pointing out that while everyone at the Bitcoin conference would understand the point of using Bitcoin to make a political statement, the average person simply does not care about this sort of thing. Quote, if you combine making a risky political statement with your payment versus just pulling out your credit card, they're always going to choose the latter, said Voorhees. Yeah, if they have a fucking credit card to pull out. Collier responded by saying that Bitcoin payments can be a useful alternative for traders who would rather sell their Bitcoin in a manner that is not closely tracked and reported, as is the case with exchanges. Quote, for us at BitRefill, we don't see the credit card as the competitor. We see the exchange as the competitor. If you're going to dump your Bitcoin, then dump on BitRefill instead, said Collier. At this point, Voorhees concluded this part of the panel discussion by pointing out the increased mental burden of tracking the tax implications of every Bitcoin payment rather than simply dealing with the tax obligations of one large sell order on the exchange. Yeah, whatever. Coin Center is pushing for a solution. During the discussion at Bitcoin 2019, Voorhees also pointed out that this tax issue is not something that can be solved via technical means, although perhaps some Bitcoin wallets could make the problem much more manageable. Instead, the issue around taxes on Bitcoin payments needs to be solved at a policy level. Yeah, in other words, don't fucking worry about it. Go fuck off. Coin Center has pushed for legislation in the U.S. that would exempt Bitcoin payments of up to $600 from capital gains taxes. This would effectively provide Bitcoin with the same tax treatment as foreign currencies like the euro and the Chinese yuan. No. Because once you establish that legal thing, the legal statement there, you've made a concession for everybody else. And the fact of the matter is that we should not be obligated to fulfill on your concession. You want to provide information for being taxed, capital gain tax, for transactions over $600, fine, you do that. But the rest of us are not actually obligated to do that. Continuing on. Collier also pointed out that Facebook's lawyers may be helpful in pushing this sort of legislation forward now that they have skin in the game via their Libra cryptocurrency project. This is one of the roundabout ways Bitcoin could benefit from Libra that was covered in... No, because they're going to fucking negotiate for their own benefit. And they have the advantage of they're negotiating for a centralized entity, not you. Continuing on, that was covered at Bitcoin 2019. Although U.S. lawmakers are realizing they won't be able to implement an outright ban on Bitcoin, they can certainly slow down its progress by not changing the tax policy around Bitcoin payments. That said, there will likely still be plenty of Bitcoin users who simply ignore this tax requirement. That's the vast majority of them. And I can say that with all confidence because the IRS, they make noises for just like a bare moment concerning taxation, and then they just shut the fuck up about it because, as this thing here, it says, if you want to change certain regulation, it helps to do things that will make an attacking regulator look silly. Well, the lack of compliance out there, by and large, makes the IRS look silly. And the SEC and the CFTC, again, when you're paying them mine, it's not like they can really stop you from transacting. It's one of the things that's funny about Tether and iFinex and all that is they're still in operation. They're still rolling. Nothing the CFTC has done, nothing the NYAG has done, nothing any of these entities have done has stopped them from circulating, from doing business. And this in itself is a political statement. It's a statement of, you can say a lot of stuff, but what you can do is relatively limited. And I think this is one of those things where it's a double-edged sword. Not only is it something that they can't really change or stop, it's something that they really don't want to. Because if they do, then they themselves cannot take advantage of it. Government is made of people. Okay? Government is made of people with their own personal interests. And if there is a form of money out there that is not immediately taxable via transactions, is not specifically monitorable under the current frameworks, or potentially even future frameworks, they are going to take advantage of it too. Or they are going to want to take advantage of it too. This confers onto them all kinds of independence that they didn't have otherwise. But the urge now is to try and make it to where only they get to enjoy that. And that's the problem, is that cryptocurrencies are born of children. Fucking Vitalik Buterin was a child when he was first engaged in Bitcoin. I mean, in many by many standards, he may still be a child. But the point being that very, very young people are behind this technology. And when those people are looking at it and they're seeing these suggested regulations and whatnot, and they realize that the friction, the amount of cost in attempting to fit in with the regulatory frameworks being presented to them, they'll see the cost and the people just like, no. Be like that kid in that you probably seen that short clip of the kid playing Monopoly, and he's presented with the tax or whatever, and he's like, what the fuck is he's got his first taste of that axiom, taxation is theft. I mean, if that kid had the option to just have the money and them not being able to take it, don't you think he would have done it? You said, no, you can't have this fucking money. You go fuck yourself. Well, it's pretty much everybody that gets cryptocurrency. When they have it, it's like, no, this is mine. You can go find your own. There's plenty of them out there. And this is, in my mind at least, this is what changes things with regard to money. It's like, okay, well, I can't get a hold of that one, but there's this other one over here that I could employ some piece of crap hardware and mine it and get that shit in my wallet. And when those run a little bit rare, get a little bit skinny, people will start creating new ones. And I don't expect that to overly dilute the market either, because people will be looking at the other coins and will be like, okay, well, that one's gone up 2x over the last month. Maybe I'll just take some of my Bitcoin and buy some of that on an exchange and then hold it offline. Maybe it'll appreciate a little bit over time, and then I'll be able to bring it back out and spend it as I see fit. You know, the necessity to even interact back onto the exchange really isn't even there. So the points where it could be tracked or taxed or squeezed are that many fewer. You know, that much less. The friction points, that is. Anyway, so I got this next article here on CoinDesk, and we're going to go a little bit down this regulatory bullshit path. And this is by Daniel Kuhn. It's authored August 8th, 2019 at 20 UTC. So yes, penis. Rhode Island will regulate crypto under money transmitter laws. Woohoo! Rhode Island has become the latest U.S. state to add specific money transmitter guidance for crypto firms. According to a report published August 5th from Alston and Bird, an international law firm, any business that accepts fees for currency transmissions or maintains control over virtual currencies for others will fall under the new law beginning in January 1st, 2020. Part of Rhode Island's licensure for crypto firms are strict compliance metrics, anti-money laundering and anti-fraud protocols, and security requirements. Firms must also demonstrate an operational ability to, quote, protect the confidentiality and integrity and availability of any non-public personal information or currency transmission it receives, maintains, or transmits. Many of these requirements are adaptations from the standing money transmission legislation in the state. What's new is a firm must maintain holdings of cryptocurrencies in kind and quantity equal to amount being transmitted by clients. In the bill, cryptocurrencies are defined as a digital representation of value that is used as a medium of exchange, unit of account, or store of value and is not legal tender, whether or not denominated in legal tender. Outside of the purview of the law are digital currencies that are not exchangeable for fiat or exist solely on a gaming or blockchain platform. This stands in line with U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's recent decision that enables an ERC-20 token to be legally sold on a gaming startup's blockchain. Additional licensing exemptions exist for personal, family, or household uses of virtual currencies, academic purposes, and certain escrow services, among others. Well, I see in this plenty of potential. If you wanted to, say your friend makes plastic worms, and he makes the best colored plastic worms, and he is willing to accept Verge currency, or Doge, or Litecoin as money in exchange for his worms. It seems that it would be perfectly legal, even according to the regulation as it's defined here, for you to go with your personal wallet and give the guy some Verge or some Litecoin or something and get your worms. Let's see what we got here. Let's see how long this thing is. It's 26 pages. I was thinking about reading this Rhode Island House Bill 5847, but I'm not gonna. The thing is 26 pages long, and we just don't have the time for that kind of thing. I mean, it is terribly long. It's double spaced, and that's cool and all, but just the same. Exchange for monitor. Getting sucked into it. Anyway, let's continue. This is probably the point where I think most entities that are wanting to participate in cryptocurrencies are going to be considering places where they want to set up. And whether or not they actually do business with people solely within the legal jurisdiction that they're physically occupying, I think that in itself is so difficult to monitor and regulate that most probably won't even bother. But anyway, I got this thing on ambcrypto.com. India set to lose $12.9 billion worth of market if they proceed to ban crypto. And this is by Prashant Jha, published how many hours ago? 1 day ago on August 8th, 2019. But yes, penis. The rumors about the Indian government planning to put a blanket ban on cryptocurrencies finally turned out to be true. The official report, along with the draft bill from the Interministerial Committee tasked at formulating the framework for crypto use, was released on July 22nd, a day before the Supreme Court was scheduled to hear the crypto case. The draft bill ruled, quote, banning of cryptocurrency and regulation of official digital currency bill 2019 proposes a complete ban on any kind of cryptocurrency, even though the committee recommends the push for adopting blockchain and DLT. The draft bill was not well received by the Indian crypto community, as most stakeholders have been constantly trying to convey the importance of crypto. The chairman, on the day of the official release of the report, tweeted, quote, "Committee is very receptive and supportive of distributed ledger technologies and recommends its widespread use in developing financial services. It also opens up the door for possible official digital rupee. Private cryptocurrencies are of no real value. Rightly banned." Yeah, well, go fuck yourself, Mr. Garg. Interestingly, the recommendations in the bill dated back to February 28th, and a lot has happened in the crypto space since then, especially the G20 summit, where the Fat F provided a regulatory guideline to help nations with their regulatory frameworks, which India was a part of. Many crypto service providers and the majority of Indian crypto community had voiced their concerns over a blanket ban and its downside. India would miss another big innovative transition, as it did back in the late 90s during the internet boom. However, at the time, India was not the global economic powerhouse it is today, given that it is one of the fastest growing economies with the largest percentage of population under the age of 25. India might lose $12.9 billion worth of crypto market. Indian crypto-focused Twitter handle Careen recently posted a list of jobs that might be under threat if the government formed a law based on the same bill. And the tweet read, "Coders, content writers, YouTubers, media houses, crypto exchanges, startups, bloggers, blockchain professionals, community managers, digital marketers, legal consultants, event managers." Actually, the list is far bigger than that. Careen. Continuing. Siddharth Sagani, the CEO of Krabako Global Inc., crypto and blockchain-centered analytical firm founded back in April of 2018, commented on the post, saying that India would lose around 84,000 crore INR, which is approximately 12.9 billion worth of market, due to the proposed ban. And again, I would argue that the number is much bigger than that. AMB Crypto got in touch with Mr. Sagani to understand how they arrived at that figure. Sagani told AMB Crypto that his firm went through a data, which included several companies and the amount of revenue or turnover they generated or may have generated if crypto was deemed legal. He elaborated further that the likes of the Indian crypto exchanges such as ZebPay, Unacoin, and others collectively reached the trading volume amounting to 40,000 crores last year. I don't know what a crore is. Krabako also took into consideration several offshore crypto service-oriented companies which decided to operate outside of India due to the banking ban imposed by the RBI last year. Those companies with Indian founders were traced back to several crypto hubs of the world like Malta, Singapore, and the US, who made billions of dollars of turnover last year. Sagani also quoted the data on the trading volume on Binance between January 2018 and December 2018 from Indian IPs, amounted to a whopping 7.9%, which shows that the Indian crypto community is quite substantial. As per the Krabako research, the estimated revenue generated through crypto in India from various sectors include: number one, the number of companies dealing in crypto and blockchain which are incorporated overseas, which have Indians on board as directors, founders, CTOs, CFOs, etc., are said to be around 93. Number two, amount of revenue to be generated as their white papers and business plans, or as per their white papers and business plans, $4.9 billion. Number three, number of expert blockchain coders, 3,500, data from LinkedIn. 4, approximate salary per project, roughly $6,000 US on average. Age total about $2.1 billion rather. Content writers 2,650. Data from LinkedIn. Approximately per article $100 US times 4, 400 times 12, 4,800. Approximately $1.27 billion. Miscellaneous job opportunities, which includes media houses, startups, bloggers, blockchain professionals, lawyers, CAS, event managers, rent, and others, along with Class 2 and Class 3 executives and laborers, approximately $4.5 billion. Sagani, who was also part of the presentation team who appeared before the Guard Committee to provide different aspects of the crypto use, stated that he was quite surprised with the final outcome of the report that called for a complete ban. Quote, "We have submitted several reports to the Indian governments as well as have consulted with Ministry of Finance through presentations and reports. In spite of all that, it was surprising to know the draft bill news." However, Sagani is still optimistic that the government would find a midway to regulate crypto. Quote, "They will have to regulate it because if they don't, it will raise a question as to how they will implement a ban on a population of 130 crore people." I'm supposing that's like a million people? I don't know. Sagani said, "They don't seem to have the mechanics of doing that, given India is a country of 1.3 billion people." Yeah. As data indicates that a ban would prove more detrimental to innovations in various sectors that might thrive. The estimated revenue is too large to be ignored by the government in an industry which is relatively very new. The Parliament would need to weigh in on the effect the draft bill would have on various sectors while the bill is brought up during the winter session. Ooh, and there's a comment. Wow, this is a superb article on crypto affairs in India. Crypto ban is not very easy in India or anywhere in the world because of its decentralized nature. Yeah, well, I think, again, India, they're going to run in the same problems that China does, and also like South Korea, where the people like to fucking gamble. They like to speculate, and the fact that the public can participate in cryptocurrencies without the approval of the government, that just like adds fuel to the fire there. I think in the longer term, the Indian government is going to bring this to a parliamentary vote if it makes it that far. I don't really see it actually being much more than presented. We've seen taxation frameworks and bans and whatnot being presented all over the place since cryptocurrency started. But invariably, what ends up happening is that they will take these things home, they will look at them, their fucking kids will look at them, and the kid will be like, "Look, dude, you know that $50,000 that I contributed to your campaign last time around? That's not going to be there under this bullshit law. You signed this thing into law, and I'm not going to be able to help you out next time around." And thus goes the support. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of like a metaphor to describe it. But that, I mean, it's like if there are other people that can pay you, there are other people that can potentially pay you more than you're currently being paid. And in cryptocurrency, the number of people with new money is relatively constant, it seems. Where a new cryptocurrency will come out, some whales will develop, and some trading will commence, and some people will walk away with significant profits. And this doesn't just happen in one place either. It happens all over the place. It happens all over the world. And, you know, we've been talking about this regulation, and again, it's a matter of implementation. You know, you can say a whole lot of things, but if you can't do the things that make the things you're saying happen, then it's kind of useless to actually say anything. And again, this is one of the reasons why regulatory entities will say shit like this, and they reflect on it for a moment or two, and then they say, well, gosh, maybe that isn't such a good idea, because that'll cut back on potential revenues I personally could be making, and why would I want to cut back on the amount of money I can make? I don't know. I can't think of a good reason to do that. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. I got some textures here for you. New Horizons here on Coin Metal. And that was Clutch with Escape from the Prison Planet. And so next up, I got this article here on ccn.com. And here it is. Bitcoin Jesus Roger Ver epically trolls lightning shells. And this is by P.H. Medor. It was authored the 8th of August 2019. Continuing on. Lightning Fast may eventually be a trademark term for some crypto payments company or another, but, quote, Bitcoin Jesus Roger Ver used the phrase to hard troll fans of the Lightning Network. Guerrilla marketing by Bitcoin's favorite Jesus turned Judas. Saying Bitcoin Cash is lightning fast and posting a video where a transaction is completed within 15 seconds, Ver undoubtedly knew he was creating a minor controversy. It shouldn't be, honestly. A top comment on the tweet accused Roger Ver of being a liar. Ver, however, is not lying. Zero confirmation transactions are not only allowed but encouraged in both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV. Ver recently had a debate with crypto personality Tone Vays. Let's see if we can click on that. If it's text, we'll read it, but if it's video, we'll abandon it. Oh, we'll follow it up with this. Anyway, where the hell is it? Let's see. As Bitmain, a company which loudly supported Bitcoin Cash fork through its mining power, and its CEO Jian Wu wrote before the launch of BCH, quote, Bitcoin Cash will be pretty much the same as Bitcoin minus a few things like segregated witness, implementation, and replace by fee feature. Replace by fee is a feature in Bitcoin which allows a user to replace one version of a transaction with another with a higher fee, often guaranteeing that a miner picks up the second transaction. The first version of the transaction then becomes invalid. The replace by fee controversy came to light again when several Canadian men stole millions of dollars in Bitcoin from various cryptocurrency ATMs across the country. RBF's inventor Peter Todd told CCN at the time, quote, the simple truth of the matter is that the ATM operator in question is negligent if they are accepting unconfirmed transactions without other mitigating security features, such as obtaining positive legal identification. The fact that they're asking for help in identifying the thieves is a strong sign of such negligence. This is no different than, say, a store selling high-value items, choosing not to hire cashiers and instead relying on an honesty box for payment. Actually, it's the kind of thing that will make ATM operators simply stop transacting Bitcoin. Continuing on. Lack of convenient replace-by-fee mechanisms in Bitcoin Cash definitively gives zero confirmation transactions a higher degree of safety. The feature is only primarily useful in Bitcoin when used to get a transaction through a congested blockchain. Be careful what you wish for, Roger. Nevertheless, the eternal wisdom in this industry has always been to wait for at least one confirmation before considering a transaction settled at all. Bitcoin currently has a hash power of over 75 exahash compared to Bitcoin Cash's 2+ exahash. That means that a minority of rogue miners from Bitcoin could easily create havoc on the Bitcoin Cash chain if zero confirmation transactions were the norm and enough activity took place on the chain. Bitcoin Cash can shake this threat by switching to a mining algorithm that is not currently supported by BTC miners, although it would cost their mining network significantly. Bitcoin Cash proponents rightly argue that 10 minutes, the standard window of time between blocks in Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, is a long time for an in-person transaction. Quote, cash settles as soon as it changes hands, with a receipt issued if necessary. To the, quote, digital cash, whatever technology succeeds will have to mimic this behavior. Responses to the tweet range from excellent to awful in terms of counter-trolling. And I'm not going to get into those. Factually, it's true that accepting a zero confirmation transaction is a leap of faith. It's also true that every time you accept fiat cash, you could be accepting counterfeit versions worth nothing at all. The last thing the Bitcoin Cash network likely wants is a reputation for easily stolen goods. The chain has already suffered reorganizations and undergoes regular hard forks. Yeah, I haven't heard about any recent hard forks with regard to Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin SV, however, had a three-way fork going for a very short period of time. I don't know what kind of resolution there has been to that one. But as far as this whole replaced by fee and SPV and all that other business, the answer for in-person payments, I mean, realistically, is to use something like Ethereum or use something like Doge or Verge that has a very, very fast confirm time. You know, Verge's confirm time is 30 seconds. So if you're wanting to do face-to-face personal fucking retail transactions in a little bit more time than it would take for a regular credit card transaction to be approved, you could have your transaction settled globally on the Verge network. You know, I think that's pretty freaking powerful, honestly. But those that would downplay the monetary aspect of cryptocurrencies or their use as money, they're quick to dismiss this stuff. You know, it's like, oh well, I can put the money on my Lightning network and send microtransactions. But yeah, okay, you could do that. And in the meantime, if there were, say, an adversarial attacker out there who wanted the money on your node, if they were skilled enough, they could probably acquire it. Whereas, if I'm doing the transaction with you and settling it within 30 seconds, that really cuts down on that attack window, you know? And it's true that Verge and other smaller currencies have had attacks, but the thing is their level of success and the impact of the coin on the coin itself in the future. You know, meaning if the developers just sat by and watched it happen and didn't try and do anything to mitigate it or trying to stop it, that would be an indicator to you of how serious they are about maintaining the coin. And if they're not all that serious about maintaining the coin, why the hell would you want to keep your monetary value locked up on their network? Because, I mean, there's an enhanced possibility that they're going to drop support for the coin, and the coins that you do have that are that are theirs will be relatively worthless. They'll get delisted off exchanges, and you won't be able to get out of them. You know, it's not a good thing. But that's the kind of thing that you take into consideration when you're trying to decide which currency to use. You know, how dependent are they on their developers? How big is their development community? How open is their development community? I mean, and by those criteria, Bitcoin and I would say even Bitcoin Cash suffer a little bit because they do have some centralization in the development end and so on and so forth. But that again is one of the metrics that you should be using in determining how to store and maintain your cryptocurrency. Anyway, continuing on. I wanted to get more into this one. And this article, again, is on ccn.com. Bitcoin Jesus Roger Ver destroys Lightning faithful Tone Vase in debate. And this apparently, it's kind of old. It was on the 25th of May 2019. But it's not so old that we shouldn't. Because the subject matter of it is still lively, so, you know. Anyway, this is by P.H. Medor. No indication on here. Let's check and verify something really quick. Come on. P.H. Medor, blah, 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 blah. Single father, so yes. Penis. Continuing on. By CCN. Let me start by saying I'm undecided on the issue of blockchain scaling. I think both camps make valid points. The day that Bitcoin Cash launched was the logical resolution of a drawn-out war, which would never have ended otherwise. Tone Vase can't make up his mind. That being said, I watched this debate between Roger Ver, one of the earliest angel investors in Bitcoin, and Tone Vase, a Bitcoin personality, and I felt like I was watching a professor debate a teenager. Ver may be a hyperactive personality who occasionally alludes to Bitcoin Cash as being, quote, a version of Bitcoin, a semi-acceptable stance given that they largely share the same transaction history and most properties. But he does know what he's talking about. On the other hand, Vase claimed that he uses Bitcoin every day and frequently pays just 5 cents to send transactions. This doesn't stand up to reality. You will pay less than a cent to send a transaction on Bitcoin Cash. It's one way to save money when you're exiting your exchange. In a previous era, you could use Litecoin for the same purpose, but in a previous era, average fees on Bitcoin did not range over $1. Actually, they did not range over 1 cent for a long time. Continuing. When we say average fees here, we refer to fees spent to get a transaction included as intended as soon as possible. Nobody uses digital currency because they want the recipient to wait hours or days to receive it. The instant settlement of crypto payments is one of the many value propositions. Scaling is not a religion. Vase fell back on circular logic. First, he says fees were not as high as Roger Ver claims. In this, he is correct. You don't have to pay $3 to send a Bitcoin transaction in a reasonable amount of time. However, then Vase makes an absurd case for himself, one that diverges significantly from the design of our economic system and a healthy blockchain. Vase says, quote, if you really need it on-chain, you will have to pay a higher fee, which, actually, I don't mind paying a 20-cent fee. I like supporting the miners, which are keeping our system secure. First of all, 20 cents is less than the average fee at press time. The average transaction fee over the past 24 hours was around 50,000 satoshis, or $4 at current prices. But anyway, we are to expect most users to want to, quote, support the miners. What a joke, honestly. Yeah, I do expect that most users are wanting to support the miners, but not like that. This is a bankrupt argument and also circular in that it undermines the last 60 seconds or so of his argument. Vase had just said that we will be using Lightning Network for everything, the purpose of which is to reduce fees and to allow for more transactions. Miners make less in the long run in a scenario where Lightning Network is supreme, less than they would if more on-chain transactions were allowed. Decentralization still matters, bro. Then another core issue of Bitcoin economics comes up: sovereignty. The only way to be truly sovereign in the Lightning Network is to operate your own node. Not a particularly easy task. It's certainly not realistic to expect there ever to be millions of personal nodes operated by millions of personal users. Instead, what you will have are a few major service providers. If you are okay with this, that's fine. But Veer makes an obvious point. The SPV wallet system currently used by Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, which was for the longest time the best way to run a lightweight wallet because you would own your own keys while not having to own a copy of the Bitcoin blockchain, is by far more centralized than a Lightning-centric system. I couldn't agree more. I have to say that most Bitcoin Cash proponents I've spoken with, including Honest.Cash founder Adrian Barwicki, accept that there will one day come a need for second layer scaling of Bitcoin Cash. Yeah, whatever. I don't think so, but the main contention is that we should not artificially force that to happen by having blocks that are arguably smaller than they have to be. Absolutely. Lou Jr. recently made the case for small blocks at the Magical Crypto Conference, and his arguments are at least sound if lacking in realistic strategy. Vase, methinks his attitude ages well simply because the market performs. The same creative thinking can be found promoting virtually any token, ICO, or altcoin. Remember, kids, friends don't let friends become dogmatic zealots. Yeah, okay. Well, you know, I sense just a little bit of dogmatism in the tone of the author, but that's just me. Let's get into some of the comments. There are a couple of them here. JW says, personally have both. I definitely like the enthusiasm of the BCH community and how they back what they preach by paying with BCH where possible. With Bitcoin, no matter what anyone says, it is the original Bitcoin. That's the one institutions are investing in, and that's the one everyone considers Bitcoin. Which side will win, who knows? But why not hold both, in my opinion? I agree. Hold as you see fit. But yeah, so the thing is that a lot of the points that are being made here, a lot of it's political jabbing back and forth, and that's possible now because most people that use cryptocurrencies are in fact just, for the most part, speculative traders, and there's no shame in admitting that. But that's simply because people still have fiat to trade. Where they don't have fiat to trade, they use cryptocurrencies as money. And when you can and do use cryptocurrencies as money, much of these arguments fly out the window. You know, the fact of the matter is that Lightning Network has been available for about 2 years now, and the adoption of it is, from what I understand, it's either staying still or marginally declining. And regularly, they have the vast majority of the funds that are available on the network is tied up in like 1 to 5 people. That if they were to withdraw their funds, you'd see this big ass divot in the amount of available liquidity on the Lightning Network. You know, this kind of tells you that the vast majority of people that are using Bitcoin are still using it as money and on chain, that they're not using it via the Lightning Network. And you can kind of see this with the price. It's one of the things that kind of contains it and has been containing it, is that, you know, the price will go up. It suddenly becomes more expensive per Satoshi to move your money around. And so people stop doing that on the Bitcoin network and move it over to Bitcoin Cash or Litecoin or some other coin in order to be able to move their money around like they did with Bitcoin. And I think that's the more likely transition that people will make, only because it is the least costly, both in technical terms and mental terms. I mean, you can download a fucking wallet, bring the money to the wallet and be ready to go. You know, if you're using like Bitcoin Cash or a bunch of other altcoins that transact faster than Bitcoin does. And so I think in the longer term, again, this is another one of those characteristics that you should be using when you're grading which coin that you want to keep your money in. Is the friction going in and the friction going out. And not just legal friction, but transaction fees. You know? When you do it on those terms, you understand all of a sudden that it's really fucking expensive to transact Bitcoin by accordance to like what's actually possible. You know, networks that are much smaller are getting transactions through much faster. And so what does that tell you? It tells me that there's a lot of the electricity and hardware being dedicated to Bitcoin ineffectually. And I think over the longer term, those efficiency metrics are going to matter. When people are looking at dedicating their hashing power, they're going to be saying, okay, well, you know, I can put my 0.2 exahashes at Bitcoin and get paid at this rate, or I could dedicate it over to Verge or Monero or, you know, one of a number of other cryptocurrencies and get a higher rate of return. What do you think people are going to do? I think they're going to switch over to coins that they can mine more profitably, because it is your own personal interest. It's not the interests of fucking Blockstream or Roger Ver or any of these entities. It's yours. You are the one that matters in it. So you got to be making these decisions according to what is best for you, what costs you the least, what gives you the most benefit. And it is with that I'd like to close out this episode. Thank you very, very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. We will be back again on Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I want y'all to trade safe. Do your homework. And watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else is going to do it for you. As far as our last dance is concerned, I want to go with a little bit of Anthrax. Time. Last Dance here on Coin Metal. Thank you again for listening, and you all have an excellent weekend. Good night.